18 years, over 1,000 student athletes at the University of North Carolina received A's and B's without ever stepping foot into a classroom or doing anything remotely close to homework. These are so-called paper classes. Now, why and how did this happen for so long? John Werthon explains in a Fox Sports 1 and Sports Illustrated joint investigation.
It could be the single biggest case of academic fraud in the history of college sports, and amid lawsuits and investigations, the University of North Carolina has had to explain what happened. They've said it was a few rogue employees operating alone, but why? Why risk their careers and even jail time? Julius Nyang'oro was chairman of UNC's Department of African and Afro-American Studies from 1992 to 2011. His appointment was the catalyst for the entire scandal, and in time, he even helped facilitate it. Kenneth Weinstein, a former federal prosecutor tapped by UNC to investigate, asked Nyang'oro point blank, why? Why commit such an extreme act of academic dishonesty? Nyang'oro's response is on page 17 of what's known as the Weinstein Report. Early in his career, 2 student athletes he taught became academically ineligible. One ended up in jail, the other was murdered. Hearing their stories, Nyang'oro vowed to keep student athletes in school and out of trouble, an admirable response. Despite extensive news coverage, neither athlete has been identified. So we launched a joint investigation between Fox Sports 1 and Sports Illustrated to find these 2 athletes. Nyang'oro's teaching career began at UNC in the mid-'80s, so we asked the university for former players matching his description. For the jailed athlete, a senior UNC official suggested Derek Fenner, a star running back around the time Nyang'oro started at UNC. Fenner was sidelined with academic issues and soon after was imprisoned on murder charges. As for the murdered athlete, we were pointed to a name early on, Carl Smalls. A sophomore defensive tackle, Smalls was on suspension when he was killed in a gang-related shooting in South Carolina, a tragic story that could have affected Nyang'oro. There's just one big problem. Smalls was killed in 2002. That's close to 20 years after Nyang'oro began his career and almost a decade after the paper classes began. This conflicted with the timeline so much we nearly threw his name out entirely. But no one in or around UNC's athletic department knew of another murdered athlete. And when we reached Weinstein, he revealed new details not included in his report. Nyang'oro had said that he thought both student athletes were football players and that one was from South Carolina, just like Smalls. We're now confident we found both athletes. We're less sure this amounts to motive. Too many things don't add up. Besides the timing of Small's death, there's Fenner, the athlete charged with murder. Turns out he was completely innocent, exonerated of the charges, and released 44 days later. He went on to play 9 years in the NFL, not exactly a cautionary tale. Why might Nyang'oro have lied about his motives? Maybe he wanted a sympathetic story. One where he wasn't just a distant, uninterested administrator, as he's frequently been described in the Weinstein Report. In any case, Nyang'oro isn't talking. He refused to speak to us in any capacity, as did his lawyers. So did the biggest academic scandal in NCAA history begin with a lie? Unless Nyang'oro testifies under oath, which is unlikely, we'll probably never know. Which means we're still left with one fundamental question here. Why?
The paper classes ended in 2011, but the fallout continues. Investigations by the NCAA and the university's accreditation body are ongoing, as are lawsuits filed by former student athletes. And we are joined by Fox Sports 1 college basketball insider Reed Forgrave. Reed, we saw recently what happened to Syracuse. What kind of punishment are you expecting in this case?
This could be the biggest punishment the NCAA has handed down in a long time. What happened to Syracuse was the NCAA came down very hard on them, taking away 3 scholarships a year for 4 years, taking away more than 100 wins from Jim Boeheim, and suspending him for half of an ACC season. What is alleged in this UNC case? Exponentially worse. What I see as the big issue here, this hits at the core of our ideal of amateurism. You come here to play your big money sports, you make money for our university, we give you both a chance to shine in front of the pro scouts, but also we pay for your education. And what this does, this devalues the education. It shows they weren't getting the top-notch education they were being promised.
This is devastating news for the school, but does any of it surprise you? Does it shock you at all?
No, as the late, great Jerry Tarkanian said, if there are 9 out of 10 coaches are cheating, the other one's in last place. And this is what happens in college sports. We act so outraged that this happens, and yet Isn't this just a natural outgrowth when you marry big-time, big-money athletics with the supposed purity of academia?
There's also more to it. The University of North Carolina has agreed to pay former learning specialist Mary Willingham $335,000 to settle her claim that she was punished for being a whistleblower in the school's academic fraud case. So, yeah, this is very large. Reed, thank you for this.
Thanks.